Hello and welcome, my dear friend. There comes a moment when the world starts to echo back what you've known in silence for years. You weren't mistaken or delusional. You just were early. And now, everything that tried to convince you otherwise is being forced to catch up. See, when God gives you a vision, it doesn't always come with confirmation. It comes with a burden, a knowing that lingers even when no one else sees it, a frequency only your spirit could hear at the time. You carried that quietly, built through battles that were never broadcasted, refined in rooms where your name was never mentioned. And for a long time, it didn't look divine. It looked like being underestimated, misread, looked over while others were handed opportunities you were more than ready for. Doors opening for those who had only practiced what you lived through. But you didn't beg for entry. You didn't perform to prove. You kept building what couldn't be seen yet. And now, transformation is about to complete. It looks like your life meets you where your soul already arrived a long time ago. People who once overlooked you are pausing now, not because they finally developed clarity, but because something in your presence is unsettling the stories they built around your absence. They didn't expect you to endure the silence. They didn't expect you to still be standing with your vision intact and your heart still soft. But here you are, walking in power that doesn't shout, but is felt. Not in carefully curated displays, but in the calm certainty of someone who already knows they belong. And if you feel it, that strange magnetism in the air lately, that's not your imagination. It's not vanity, it's arrival. Because here's what most don't realize. Being hidden was by design. You know now that you were placed in the background, not to be forgotten, but to be formed. The world has a habit of spotlighting the loud, the polished, the immediate. But God has always done his finest work in the shadows, in caves, in deserts, in wildernesses, where no one thought anything holy could survive. And he's been forming you there. That's why recognition didn't come when it should have. That's why your timeline made no sense compared to others. You see, what's rising in you now could have been misused if revealed too soon. What you carry couldn't afford to be mistaken for trend or talent. This is deeper. You weren't made to impress. You were made to impact. And impact can't be rushed. It must be lived into. That's what you've been doing all this time, living into it. When it was thankless, when it was unseen, when even you questioned if any of it would ever take root. But here's the thing about seeds planted in silence. They don't ask for witnesses when they break the soil. They just grow. And something in you is sprouting now in a way that can't be ignored. Not by others, and not by you. You can feel the stretch. The way life is starting to organize itself around what you've been carrying all along. And even if no one says it directly, they're feeling it too. They're sensing that something is different. Not in your clothes or your tone or your status, but in the way you no longer explain yourself. In the way you move like someone who knows time is on their side. You no longer fit into the roles people once assigned you. You're too big for them now. Not in ego, but in essence. And the most beautiful part? You didn't force it. You didn't rush it. You simply stayed faithful to what God whispered to you long before anyone else could see it. Now, the unveiling has begun. And maybe that's the hardest part. Not the waiting, but the wondering if anything was happening at all. You lived through days that felt like blank pages in a story you were promised would be divine. You questioned whether all the silence was a sign that something had gone wrong, or worse, that nothing was ever coming. You weren't asking for spotlight. You just wanted to feel seen by your own life. And for a while, it felt like nothing saw you back. You poured effort into your days like water into soil that never sprouted. You tried to keep the faith while carrying questions you didn't dare speak out loud. questions about timing, about your path, about whether the pain had a point. You planted seeds with no promise of harvest. You stayed in rooms where the light barely reached you, and still you remained. You endured the invisible season like a lantern lit behind frosted glass, burning steadily, even if no one could see. And now, look where you are. Look at the way your soul kept moving, even when your circumstances didn't. Look at the way you held reverence for your own spirit when no one else knew how to honor it. That wasn't weakness. That wasn't delay. That was sacred construction behind closed doors. And what's happening now isn't just a new chapter. It's a revelation of everything that was being built beneath the surface. This is what alignment feels like. Not perfection, not clarity every step of the way, but a deep internal resonance that lets you know this was never for nothing. And that ache that lingered when you saw others celebrated while you stayed invisible. It was real, but it wasn't the final word. Your life didn't forget you. God didn't forget you. It was the opposite. You were being tailored for timing, sculpted for significance, and now everything that used to feel like a delay is showing its true form, divine preparation. You're stepping into moments that recognize you before you even announce yourself. People are listening to you now, but not because you changed your tone. It's because your energy is finally being broadcast on a frequency they can no longer ignore. You're not standing at anyone's doorway, hoping to be noticed. You've become the gravity in the room, quiet, unannounced, but undeniable. People don't lean in because you speak louder now. They lean in because your presence carries weight, and they can feel when something real is in the room. The authority in you didn't arrive overnight. It was forged in quiet convictions and uncelebrated growth. You became solid like a mountain, not because anyone saw you rising, but because layer after layer you withstood erosion that tried to make you collapse. And now, without chasing, you're drawing in exactly what's been looking for you all along. You're not asking to be chosen, you're being revealed as already set apart. That's why it hurt so deeply before. Not because you were missing something, but because your spirit had already outgrown what your surroundings could support. The tug in your heart wasn't emptiness, it was excess. A surplus of destiny with nowhere to land yet. And now, it's landing. This is where things start to make sense backwards. That missed opportunity, it wasn't yours to hold. It would have caged your wings. That unanswered message, it wasn't silence, it was protection. That person who couldn't recognize your worth, they were never meant to name what only God could define. You're being reminded that the timeline was never broken, just hidden. And now, every delay is turning into direction. Every no is showing itself as a necessary redirection. Every scar is shimmering with the evidence that you didn't just survive. You expanded. You didn't just endure the storm. You became the architecture that could hold peace in its center. There is no going back to smallness now. No pretending you don't feel what you feel. No minimizing your vision to fit other people's comfort zones. This is your emergence, not with noise, but with gravity. Not through proving, but by becoming undeniable. You're not here to chase moments. You're here to anchor movements. And that's exactly what's happening now. The season of wondering is closing. The days of doubting your own discernment are over. You are walking proof that what's real doesn't have to rush to be revealed. It simply arrives when the soul that carries it is ready, and you, beloved, are ready. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. If you found value in this message, please like the video and share it with others who might benefit. Don't forget to subscribe and continue your amazing journey by watching one of the videos showing on your screen that resonates with you the most. See you there.